as well.
Are you sick of Bolero, or are you?
No, it's like a theme song, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely our theme song. I mean, when we first turned professional, we didn't want to do it anymore because we've always been about recreating the next routine. But we were soon told by the promoters, people have bought tickets to see
want to
Bolero.
see it, yeah.
So you've got to do it. And so since that time, you know, it's very close to our hearts.
Yeah. Take me back to Boondall 86. And of course, you are skating on that ice again this weekend. Boondall, I'm told, at one point there was a bit of problem with the ice melting. What was it like to skate? Was that at Boondall or was that at QE2?
That was the QE2.
At the stadium. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was an outdoor arena in the tropics.
What could possibly go
What were
wrong?
they thinking?
But it was a novelty, I think, for everybody, even for us at the time. So what they did at the QE2, they put styrofoam over the top, and it was only like on the last minute before the show was about to go up that they took them off and that we could go out and skate. So yeah, it was. I think they lost the first two shows, but got the idea of how to do it, and then the shows came back a couple of days later. Even though Premier went to see that as well.
Are you sick of play and season? Well, picture that ground covered, absolutely covered in ice. And a couple of figure skaters gliding with grace and a bit of glitter, just like they did back in 1986.
Paso doble, one of the numbers that brought Torvill and Dean gold at the 84 Olympics. But the ice skating duo have come a long way since then. They've gone from amateur to professional, and it shows. There's more style, flair and imagination.
That is how the ABC covered the grand opening of the Boondall Entertainment Centre all the way back in 1986, and the venue's opening act, British ice skaters Jayne Torvill and Christopher Dean, who, by the way, are back in Brisbane nearly 40 years later, getting ready to skate the ice at Boondall this weekend. They are going to skate by the studio this afternoon to talk about their big farewell tour and their long history in Australia.
Australia was the first place that we came to. And I think maybe the Australian people found that unusual, that, you know, ice skaters were coming to Australia. But we had such a great response at the time. And you do have ice rinks here, even in Brisbane.
In actual fact, where we are at the moment in Boondall, where we're going to perform, we opened that 39 years ago.
Wow. That is Torvill and Dean talking about their farewell tour on The Project last night on Channel 10. Incidentally, The Project, the TV show, is also being farewelled. The hosts are past 1, and you are on 612 ABC Radio Brisbane and Gold Coast.
What Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers did on the silver screen in the 1940s, Torvill and Dean are emulating on ice in the 1980s. After watching every Astaire-Rogers film they could get their hands on, the routine took just 5 days to choreograph. It was then many more arduous months before it was perfected.
It's something we've always wanted to do, to try and characterise what they did on film. We tried to take the essence and the characterisation that they do on film and transpose it onto ice.
After nearly 40 years, they are back in Australia.
On air and streaming on the ABC Listen app.
This is Kat Feeney.
It's 20 minutes past 1. When two figure skaters from England hit the ice in Sarajevo for the 1984 Olympic Winter Games, crowds, judges, and a massive TV viewing audience would have been expecting something rather special. The young pair, Christopher Dean, Jayne Torvill, had already won gold at the World Championships, the European Championships, and the British Figure Skating Championships. They were hot property. They were in their 20s, they were gorgeous, successful, and their connection on the ice was electric. And then, when they finished their final move, seeing them both lying flat on the ice, the crowd went wild. People leapt to their feet and looked to see what the judges would do. And they scored sixes right across the board. The highest possible score and the only time ever that an all-perfect score was achieved. Jane Torvill, Christopher Dean, welcome to 612 ABC Radio Brisbane and Gold Coast.
Thank you.
Nearly 40 years, 41, let's not count too clever. Does it feel like it was just yesterday that you were on the ice at Sarajevo?
You know, some days it does. You think about it and then you think everything that we've done in between. And yeah, no, sort of in a blink of an eye, you've come from that time to here and now. Where did it all go?
Are you sick of Bolero or are you?
No, it's like a theme song, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely our theme song. I mean, when we first turned professional, we didn't want to do it anymore because we've always been about recreating the next routine. But we were soon told by the promoters, people have bought tickets to see
want to
Bolero.
see it, yeah.
So you've got to do it. And so since that time, you know, it's very close to our hearts.
Yeah. Well, indeed, it's close to the hearts of people listening right now who might have been fortunate enough to see you at the Boondall Entertainment Centre when you arrived in Brisbane in '86 to open our big, shiny new entertainment centre. And we've already heard from Diana at Wynnum, who remembers watching you perform Bolero in your purple outfits and loving it.
Yeah.
And here you are back again for the farewell tour. How has Brisbane changed, Jane, since you were last here?
Brisbane seems to have changed an awful lot because particularly with all the high-rise buildings and everything. I mean, it's like a really big city feel now.
I think it was a country town when we arrived
Yes.
in '86, but it's certainly grown up since then.
Yeah, it definitely has changed.
And very exciting that the Olympics are going to be here.
Well, that's the thing. We're all gearing up for the 2032 Summer Games. Not quite sure if we're right for the Winter Games, but gee whiz, maybe that'd be nice. Do you think that the sort of Olympic movement is what it was when you were a part of it, Christopher?
Oh, I think, you know, it's gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Always. Everything is getting bigger and better, to be honest. You know, sport is always about moving forward, and certainly our sport has moved forward. But to see athletes at their peak competing in an Olympic Games, and what makes the Olympics so special, of course, it's every 4 years. And there are not as many winners as there are in World Championships. So Olympics are really special. And I think everybody will tune into the Olympics, you know, whether you're not a sports fan or not. But when the Olympics are on, a lot of people watch skating from our point of view that wouldn't normally watch. But the Olympics were on, and then there we were, a couple of Brits winning as well, which sometimes is a bit unusual as well.
Oh, it was such a defining moment. You'd want to see the right venues made, and of course that's a discussion that's playing out here in Brisbane in regards to stadiums and the like. But take me back to Boondall '86, and of course you are skating on that ice again this weekend. Boondall, I'm told, at one point there was a bit of problem with the ice melting. What was it like to skate? Was that at Boondall or was that at QE2?
That was the QE2.
At the stadium. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was an outdoor arena in the tropics.
Possibly go.
What were they thinking?
But it was a novelty, I think, for everybody, even for us at the time. So what they did at the QE2, they put styrofoam over the top, and it was only like on the last minute before the show was about to go up that they took them off and that we could go out and skate. So yeah, it was, I think they lost the first two shows but got the idea of how to do it, and then the shows came back a couple of days later, even though Premier went to see that as well.
Oh, I see. Quite a to-do. On 612 ABC Radio Brisbane and Gold Coast, if you've just joined in, you're with quite a couple of very famous skaters. Torvill and Dean returning to skate the ice at Boondall as part of their farewell tour, kicking off in Brisbane and kicking off at a venue that they skated at back in 1986 when Boondall Entertainment Centre was opened. My name is Kat Feeney, and I asked how you thought Brisbane had changed since you were last skating here. Jane, how do you feel you've changed as a person?
Well, we've all got a bit older, haven't we? I don't think I've changed that much, really. I don't know. We still both have the same passion for the skating, which is why we're still doing it.
I think we don't argue anymore because it's an eye roll nowadays.
It's an eye roll.
If we've got something to
Non-verbal,
say, and if it's like, oh, okay, and it's about as much as that. So we've known each other for how many? 50 years at least skating together, and 5 years before that. So we've grown up through 10 years old, through our teens, through our 20s, 30s, marriages, all kids, all of that. And so over that time, obviously, people ask us about the relationship and was it like this right at the beginning? No, you forge a relationship over many, many years, and that's what happened with us. That
we know what each other's thinking.
Even just that we can be in a room and somebody can walk in and say something. We both instinctively know what the other one's thinking.
That is pretty special. That's pretty special and hard fought too. I mean, you had so much scrutiny. Your relationship, professional or personalised, was heavily scrutinised. How did you get through that? How did you handle all of that?
I don't know. I think one of the first things that we found a bit shocking was when we were at the Olympics in '84. Unlike doing World Championships and European Championships, you get so much more press there, and having won. The day before, we came out of one of the buildings and there was lots of press there, and the fact that we won on Valentine's Day was kind of significant. And I remember one of the journalists said to Chris, "Oh, well, when are you going to get married then?" And he said, "Are you getting married now?" And he said, "Not yet," but he meant not yet. Either of us, not together.
Exactly.
And so the press just went poof.
Yeah, and the rest was...
And then we had to live with that ever since.
Well, I'm glad that you are here skating still, smiling together, dancing. I mean, what a story and what a legacy.
Thank you.
And returning to Boondall, where it all began for the Boondall Entertainment Centre this weekend. Jane Torvill, Christopher Dean, thank you so very much. And Shookers for the show and the tour.